first cousin Jody and Tally. Now, can you tell me about the time you saw General Patton?
Yes, it was in the summer of 1939, and General Patton's horse cavalry was here, and this happened in Burkeville. Highway 63 came down and made a T intersection at the Highway 87. Highway 87 ran north and south. Highway 63 ran east and west. General Patton's horses were coming west down 63 and turning south, going through town in Burkeville, and the horses came in a column of two abreast, and General Patton drove up under in his staff car, which I recall was a 1939 Buick sedan. He drove up and had his driver stop under a great big pecan tree at the southeast corner of this T intersection. And he opened the back door of this sedan and turned around and opened the door and had his feet out on the ground. And one of General Patton's soldiers came up to deliver him a message of some description and tied his horse to the pecan tree and walked around to report to General Patton. Well, he walked too close to the horse, and General Patton started cussing a blue streak about him not walking too close to the horse. And after that, he stayed there a few minutes, 20, maybe 15, 20 minutes, just watching the troops come down and going on, seeing how they were doing. And they went on. My mother and several of her sister-in-laws and friends and so forth were sitting out on the front porch when all of this happened. And after General Patton left, my mother sent me out to ask a MP who was directing traffic at the intersection who the man was that was doing all the cussing. And he told me it was General Patton. Now, my daddy heard General Patton one time get on to a bunch of his soldiers. I don't remember what they were doing, but my daddy said that he told them they looked like a bunch of doughboys. Now, doughboys was a World War I nickname for infantry soldiers. And this was quite an insult to a cavalry soldier to be classified as lowly a walking soldier in the infantry. And that was quite a bad thing. Now, General Eisenhower was in here at the same time. I do not remember seeing General Eisenhower, but some of my cousins did see him and did remember him. And I think General Cougar was the overall general of it. And a strange thing, it would take sometimes several hours for all the horses to pass, because there would be a division of them of about 15,000 horses and riding two abreast. That would be 7,500 horses going down the road at maybe just a good walk to let that many pass by. Later on, when they did away with the horse cavalry and got the mechanized cavalry, the tanks and the half-tracks and all of those vehicles, you could not get across the road for many hours. Sometimes just when they started passing through on their military maneuvers. Now, these maneuvers had started when things in, this may have not have been 1939, it may have been 1940, because the war in Europe started on September the 1st of 1939 when Germany invaded Poland. And the United States started gearing up. We were allies with the British, and they had joined the war effort against Germany, and we were getting ready to send them aid of any description needed, food, clothing, medicine, things like that, to help them. And the Army was calling in a lot of troops to get ready. I mean, we felt like, while we wanted desperately to stay out of that war, we felt like we had better get ready, because as it turned out, Japan attacked us, and we didn't have any choice but to be in it. And it went on that way for several years. Now, I remember the Nisei Division. That was the division of the Japanese Americans from out on the West Coast. They came in here and they trained in here. I remember them on what is now County Road 2108, and they were camped across the road from my log barn down there now. I remember them being there. I remember going out in there, and they had built up bunkers, dug holes in the ground, and covered these, put pine tops, cut down small trees and built a roof over it, covered that with dirt. And this was in the wintertime. And they were there that length of time. And you could walk out across anywhere out through there, you'd find a foxhole right out in the middle of the woods where they had dug it and went off and left it. Because they were required to do just as much as they could, like there were actual combat. And a lot of times they would come over with aircraft. I remember, I believe it was a B-26 bomber. I remember them coming over down so low you could see the gunners' faces looking down at you out of the aircraft as they went by, and they would be so low that the aircraft's engines would literally jar the ground. I mean, it just, you could feel it. They were so, excuse me, so low and going so fast, and all of that time. Now, one other thing they had there, and I didn't get to see this because Miss Pauline Hines wouldn't let us out of the class to go do it, but there was a bunch of soldiers camped in what we called the Pines then, which is just right across the south of 63 into the woods there, and there's a big bunch of pine trees there, and they had some kind of a headquarters or something there, and they came in there one day and did a dive bombing, an air attack on them, and I didn't get to see that, but it sure made a noise. And it was, from that standpoint, it was interesting. And
Jody, will you go back and tell about like how when the